Okay, hello everyone. May the 4th. Another big solar flare today, and wow, the astrology of it is just remarkable. So let's start here. Here you see the spike M3.9 at 8:44 a.m. this morning. And I again go to this page here, just show you here quickly again where you find the information yourself. That's the space weather page. If you click here, more data, then you get the graph which I just showed you. So let's just look here at this flare, reverse polarity sunspot 3296, that's right here. Exploded on May 4th, producing an M3.9 class solar flare. The extreme ultraviolet flash lasted for nearly 3 hours. And that's what you see here in this big spike here. You see that whole area here. So for some 3 hours the X-ray radiation was so high that it was creating radio blackouts, as they call. So the explosion also had a CME, coronal mass ejection into space, and first look images from SOHO, the Solar Observatory, suggest a halo CME with an Earth-directed component, so we could experience geomagnetic storms when the CME arrives this weekend. How about the timing with the lunar eclipse? It's amazing how this just is going in lockstep almost, you could say. So there's more interesting information here. This is a reversed polarity sunspot 3296. Its magnetic field is reversed compared to the nearby sunspots. You see it's minus plus, versus the others all have minus plus from left to right. This is from right to left. So this is according to this Hale's law, that the sunspot's magnetic field is reversed compared to other nearby sunspot in the sun's northern hemisphere. This magnetogram from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory shows the situation. So according to the Hale's law, solar cycle 25 sunspots in the sun's northern hemisphere should have a minus plus polarity, negative on the left, positive on the right. Studies show that about 3% of all sunspots violate Hale's law. In most ways, reverse polarity sunspots are totally normal. They have about the same lifespan and size as ordinary sunspots. In one important way, however, they are different. According to a 1982 survey by Francis Tang of the Big Bear Solar Observatory, reverse polarity sunspots are more than twice as likely to develop complex magnetic fields in which plus and minus are mixed together. Complex magnetic fields are mixed together. Reverse polarity sunspots are therefore more likely to explode. That is when like polarities are neighboring. So here you have it. This is the recipe for even more stronger flares as this whole big sunspot group moves more towards the center of the sun over the coming days. Again, this is the sun rotates in that direction. The whatever is here on this side emerging over the eastern limb will eventually 14 days later depart here over the western horizon. So for the next roughly 10 days, these sunspots will be super geo-directed, so whatever comes will be big. Anyway, this is just the background here. Let me now get into the astrology. This is the chart for 8:44 a.m. when this flare was peaking. How about that? Mars rising and Ceres at the 4th house cusp here in the Greenwich global chart. So this in itself shows that this is a huge activation of some sort. Mars, the male creative force in Cancer, in a water sign. So, I mean, as all these symbols function on so many levels, on one level it is bringing people together to really stand as a family, feel as united as we should be, kind of bringing our focus to help one another. Mars, very important in Cancer in that sense, serving the family in a way, but also Mars in Cancer, that is all things water are amplified. And with Ceres here, in multiple charts I have seen Ceres really strong lately, and we will get to that. Ceres is just changing directions, turning back direct in a couple days. And so Ceres has additional power as it's close to standstill. The slower a planet moves, usually the more its impact. And yes, you see Neptune here is in opposition. Actually, that made me really look a little bit deeper into this. Neptune and Ceres combination, opposition. Ceres, the earth goddess. Ceres always shows up when big things happen on planet Earth, volcanic eruptions, you name it, earthquakes and all kinds of extreme events. Ceres is always involved in that. Neptune, naturally speaking, of water. Now, I was interested also seeing the heliocentric geometry of this moment when the flare went off. And interesting enough, we have pretty exact Mercury-Uranus opposition today. So it's also the activation of the Uranian and the Mercurian force, kind of, I would interpret this as intelligence is expressing through Uranian energy, so that they are linking together. It is also the spark of insight, Mercury and Uranus together. It is kind of an initiation, an ignition, which happens when Mercury is opposing Uranus, heliocentric. Again, this is just the energy. This is actually the energy which was delivered by that solar flare, if you want the heliocentric picture. Now, as I say, I was curious in the Neptune-Ceres connection, and I found that yes, they have 3 exact oppositions. The first one was in November 25th last year, the second one April 11th, just 3 weeks ago, and the third, the final one, will be on June 10th. And first of all, to understand an opposition of any planets, I always look first at the heliocentric, because this is the one and only, and it contains the recipe to understand all the others. So here you have Neptune and Ceres. Interesting, this perfect sextile trine of Mars. Mars is activating this opposition in the 25th degree of Cancer. It was in February, as seen from the Sun, and as you just have seen, that's the one I want to go back to. From geocentric position, as of today, Mars is at 20 degrees Cancer. It will be the 25 degree mark, kind of matching this on the 13th, I guess, of May, so very soon coming. Which doesn't mean anything really, but it's just an interesting observation, something to keep in mind. And here the opposition Mars makes to Pluto and Mercury. Actually, the midpoint of these two at 2514, you see, links in again perfectly into this configuration, which is also called a mystic rectangle. So there's this Capricornian structural, architectural energy in it of remodeling things, and Neptune and Mars and Ceres. So I have the impression that there's something to do with Earth changes, which we have been waiting for decades, but which have been predicted, and I'm pretty sure there's some bigger stuff coming in the next few months, and I will show you why I come to this conclusion. So this is the heliocentric chart of that moment, February 27th, when these two energies were locking into each other in their opposition. This is the same moment geocentrically. Interesting that we have a Moon-Mars conjunction at that time, so further amplifying Mars influence in this whole configuration. Also super interesting, the Scorpio rising in general. And you will see this degrees 4, 5, 6, 7 will show up repeatedly as we look into these charts, which is hexagram 28, by the way, this area resonating with hexagram 28, preponderance of the Great, that is the flooding river, or the door beam, which has too much weight on it and bows itself. So there's multiple signs. Also the node here exactly in that line, pretty much dead on with the Greenwich ascendant descendant, which means whenever the nodes are linking into a major axis, this is a amplification of that particular frequency. Okay, now I went and wanted to look at all three of these oppositions as seen from Earth. November 25th, that was the first one. Here you see Neptune 2239 in Virgo. Interesting that perfect square the Moon makes to these two. Also watch out for this one here, the Black Moon with Pallas. We will see that again. Mars here also within close range of the perfect square, actually making a grand square here with the Moon. The Moon again involved. The Moon naturally standing for change and big waves, big shifts, and also including nature. The Moon very much is resonating with the animate world, and how we are connected with nature. Black Moon Pluto opposition. So this was back in November, but it's you see some when something big is building, it is taking time to and will show up in many levels to finally become a reality. So this was the first opposition, then the second one just a few weeks ago. This time Ceres retrograde 2604 Neptune here. Again the Sag moon, pretty much the same moon as we had in the chart before. You see 22. Jupiter influence also, which means something is amplified. The Sag moon is a wild energy to start with. In the Leod Wad, where the black moon resides at this time. Again, we have this time 7:32 here at the midheaven point. You see here in November we had 4:48, and here we have 5:59, always Scorpio. Again, preponderance of the great. And then we get into the third and final opposition on June the 10th. And again, it's uncanny. The node also in here naturally. So with Jupiter perfectly at the descendant. Now this chart, I'm sorry to say, I'm really not wanting to create any panic or such, but it just comes to me, so I want to share it. This chart looks somewhat ominous to me, with the black moon here towering over the 0 meridian, and then particularly also Saturn, Moon and Neptune perfectly spaced by 10 degrees, meaning the moon is at the midpoint, bonding Neptunian and Saturn's energy together. And on top of that there is Nessus, which is a difficult energy to start with, something which is which can be painful, which can be really ugly even to some degree, something which needs to be transcended. So furthermore, Uranus is t-squaring this axis. We had actually this t-square already before. I forgot mentioning that here in the heliocentric opposition of Neptune and Ceres is this geocentric, but you see geocentric and heliocentric Uranus is almost always exactly at the same place within a degree or two, because it's already quite far away, so it doesn't make such a big difference if you look from the Sun's or Earth's perspective. Naturally, the closer a planet is, the more the difference is in angle where it appears, but that Uranus here in the heliocentric chart is definitely something to take in account. Now this third and final one also anyway, this is the Jupiter here, very very powerfully placed. Actually, Jupiter entering Taurus on the 16th of May is also feeding all the planets which already are in Taurus. In that sense, Jupiter enlarges everything it touches, makes it bigger, stronger, more effectful, more powerful, as Jupiter, as I said in yesterday's video, is really a huge vortex in space, generating 60% of the angular momentum of our solar system all by itself. So what is interesting is that just one day later, one day after Ceres and Neptune have their third and final opposition, Pluto re-enters Capricorn from the back door. And this chart has Moon Neptune conjunction. So this is the birth chart for that last period. Pluto will be in Capricorn, expressing through Capricorn between June 11th and I guess January 24th in the year 2024. So for the rest of the year, from June on forward, this is the kind of the birth chart of this final stay Pluto has in Capricorn, how it will express itself through Capricorn. Again, Capricorn structural energy, naturally with Pluto in here, structural changes are likely, and it is the last chance Pluto has to express itself through the Capricornian, the Saturnian frequency, before another 250 years will be passed. Mars Pallas, here you have it again, Pallas and the black moon, as I've shown you in the earlier chart. Actually here in this one it's two, the same thing. See here they are pretty much dead on in midheaven, 16 and 17. So there's repeating themes here. Now I was just wanting to look a little deeper still. So this is the chart and Pluto station just a couple days ago, reaching the maximum at 0.21 here in Aquarius, from here on heading backwards into Capricorn. And Chiron here, yes, and this is, and most of all, the moon conjunct Ceres. Okay, here we have Ceres again, the earth goddess, the one who is governing the physical expression of earth, you could say. Ceres is that celestial energy which makes sure everything is fed and taken care of, but naturally also there's the downside to it, as you know from the story. When Ceres was in deep grief, she withdrew her energies and winter fell. So it is this extreme polarity Ceres can express as, and naturally we have the perfect opposition here. Well, not quite perfect, but if you see a few hours after Pluto and change directions, that was when Mercury started a new zodiac cycle, which again is a 4-month period starting on May 1st, lasting into early September. So whatever comes in the next few weeks and months will be governed by this chart. I pointed this out already in my other recording, that Australia North Node, 4th house cusp, source point connection here, very, very interesting. Australia being the one who cleans up, who comes in as a compassionate force to resolve problems, to remove what is wrong, what's in the way. So you can think of this however you like. It's and the moon Neptune opposition this time here, again coming out of conjunction with Ceres just a few hours earlier, when Pluto went retrograde, initiated that movement. So this time the opposition is really most exact, within less than 15 minutes of arc, and also T-squaring the ascendant here. So this is now Ceres changing directions just 2 days from now, turning back to direct motion. As I said, this is that window where Ceres is almost at standstill. Interesting that this time the sun is exactly at the setting point at sunset. That's Earth Sun axis. So that's another whenever a major the nodes or the sun, the moon is in a major axis, this is amplifying what is happening. and Saturn here. Now this is further amplified. You see the black moon 13 degrees 14 and Leo 1315 is the entry into hexagram 7 army, which is that guidance from the deep, you could say, water below, earth above. That's just a few minutes later. See, 7:27, 7:37, 10 minutes later, and this time the descendant at 18 degrees 19 in Taurus, that is within less than a degree where Uranus is. So there's multiple indications that there's something brewing, and yes, I just needed to share this with you. Think what you want, and I know we will be all exactly in the right position, and we are really the ones who are asking for this change. We have to be aware of it. It really doesn't matter what is happening on a personal level in the end, because we are here to fulfill a mission, to serve a purpose. Wherever we are in the right place, right position, in the right environment, regardless what happens. That's what I want to say as a final comment here. Anyway, thanks for tuning in and listening again. See you soon.